I got this message from one of my subscribers, and you can pause the video if you want to read it. I'm going to be answering all the questions that he asked. What's the fastest way to get a grade 9 in GCSE language? What I did was pay attention in class. It's such an underrated tip because it's during this time of the year when your class is doing past paper questions, having revision lessons, so you can really improve your skills if you just focus. Ask to sit at the front of the class. For speaking exams, I used something called a chatty mat, which you can easily find on Google, and I copied key phrases from it. Also, I used idioms and a bit of humour during my French speaking exam to build a rapport with the examiner so that he'd give me higher marks. Practice speaking the language with someone who is better than you just by having conversations with them. Change your phone's language to the one you're doing for exams, whether that be French, Spanish, German. Now for the writing exam, I would make university standard paragraphs for any possible topics that could come up and then use flashcards to memorize them. The test is always going to ask what you did in the future, the present and the past. So if you make a paragraph related to that, you can easily just copy and paste it into your exams. I would also steal phrases and paragraph structures from the mark scheme. If I were you, I would use the flashcard method to memorize all of it. And then if there's certain topics you don't understand at all, watch certain YouTubers. I did French, so I watched French with Alexa, and I also copied sentences that she gave and added them into my model paragraphs. Get somebody's Anki shared decks on your exam board and the language you're doing, and use their Anki every single day, just a couple minutes, to slowly memorize the vocab from your textbook. For me, some kind soul put their Anki for AQA GCSE French onto the shared decks, which I used. But if you don't find it, ask your friends who use Anki if they can kindly send their decks to you. How do I get a grade 9 in English literature? The main thing is getting very complex AO3, which is context, because then all of your ideas will flow from this. I would steal context from exemplar essays and also from a YouTuber called Mr. Salis, who has really in-depth videos on very high levels of context. I would also copy the essay structure of exemplar essays, and you can find many exemplar essays on Google, or maybe your teachers will have them. Or even if you have friends in the year above who are good at English literature, ask to look at their essays. I would use physics and maths tutor for getting key quote banks and character analysis, and you can use physics and maths tutor for your poetry anthology. One of my friends got a grade 9 in English literature, and he suggested using the website Genius for poetry since they analyze every single verse. Also, have summarized essay plans for every key theme that can come up, because whatever question they give you, you can easily mold your quotes and facts to fit that question if you've memorized every major theme. Poetry, I would memorize 3 poems in depth that you can relate to many other poems. For me, I did Ozymandias, Poppies and Remains because I did Power and Conflict, and thankfully the one I studied the most, Ozymandias, was the one I used to compare to My Last Duchess. However, I would still learn at least 2 quotes and key context for every single other poem, which you can memorize doing the flashcard method. And then for overall essay structure, I would watch a YouTuber called Mr. Everything English, since he goes in depth on how to structure every single question. Do you have any more tips for GCSE further maths? Do the past paper method, and what I did was I would do past papers by watching a walkthrough video of a YouTuber called R2 Drew on YouTube. And before he answered a question, I would pause the video, do it myself, and then after that play the video and see his way of answering a question. And you can do this for GCSE maths as well. And then for further maths, use Maths Genie AS level to get topic specific past paper questions. What should I be doing each day in the half term? The past paper method. Ideally, before you sleep, plan out the exact revision you're going to do tomorrow. Plan out the past paper you're doing or the topics you're going to be doing flashcards and blurting over. And also prepare your desk, such as having the website open with the past papers, getting your lined pieces of paper out and getting your bottles ready. And then go to sleep, and as soon as you wake up, wash your face with some cold water and revise first thing in the morning, before before you've had breakfast, before you've even had a shower. I promise you, you will be so grateful and you will not procrastinate if you do this. Also, watch my video on the unconventional study methods I used, because I outline a lot of really good tips. And also be active, go on a walk, go to the gym, meet your friends. This is probably the last holiday before the sprint, okay? You haven't started sprinting yet, you're just warming up to actually become very, very focused in your exams. I wouldn't recommend doing more than 4 hours of revision because you don't want to burn yourself out. Just ensure you did more revision than yesterday. But as a bare minimum for top grades, I would recommend doing at least 2 past papers a day in any subject and marking them. And whenever you're walking or going to the gym or doing a shallow task, I would recommend getting some earphones and listening to the 1 hour summaries of subjects or topics. If you're stuck on any content, I would recommend watching my flashcard method video and just following what the video outlines. Is there anything more to the past paper method? No, I did exactly what I said I did in the video. If I could do it again, I would probably do less past papers over a longer period of time. So I used to do 5 in a day, but if I were you, I would do maybe 1 past paper on a subject every other day. And whenever I have free time, I would be looking at that table of notes and corrections from my past papers. Promise you that if you just do the flashcard method for revising content and the past paper method for refining exam technique, you will get top grades.